Hi everyone, Jill here and welcome back to Whispering Willow Farm. Today we are going to dive into the world of medicinal herbs. This is going to be the perfect video if you are the beginner looking to curate and craft your own herbal remedies, maybe start your own path to holistic wellness, and I am so excited to be along with you for this journey. So today I'm going to be sharing 3 easy to grow herbs for beginners, why I love these. I'm also going to share with you guys this special limited bundle for 48 hours only to jumpstart and kickstart your journey into holistic wellness. But before we dive into today's video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to make sure that you are notified whenever a new video drops. So let's dive in. All right, so now let's chat about my favorite top 3 easy to grow herbs for beginners. The great thing about these is that there are going to be some that are primarily known for their culinary properties, but I love working with culinary herbs, especially those that also hold a lot of medicinal properties as well. So they're going to add great kicks and flavors to your recipes along with medicinal properties. You're going to be able to make so many different recipes with these, soothing teas, salves, lotions, you name it. So I am really excited to dive into these today. So the first herb I'm going to talk to you guys about is chamomile. Now, I love growing chamomile for multiple reasons. One, it is a super easy to grow herb. It has so many great medicinal properties. It is perfect in a tea and a salve. I actually trained my kids to sleep through the night on chamomile tea. It has a fantastic floral sweet aroma. It's just smells like what honey tastes like, okay? But it's also really fun to be able to add to different sourdough breads, to add to different mocktails and cocktails and make different simple syrups, so that you can even think beyond your standard, herbal remedies, right? Medicinal remedies. There are so many fun things you can do culinarily with chamomile that it 1000% has to be one of my top favorite beginner-friendly herbs to grow. So you guys can see this fun growing guide I created for chamomile. I told you guys there was going to be a special limited bundle today. So my friend Kaylee and I, over at the Homestead, she is a fantastic herbalist and beekeeper. I'm sure many of you guys know her. We have been working on a fun ebook. It is a beginner's guide to growing a medicinal garden. And in honor of the launch of this ebook, we decided to relaunch our Home Apothecary course, where you can bundle the two and save over $85. Now, the only catch is it is only a 48-hour special. So if you want to go ahead and snag this book, join the hundreds of others in our Home Apothecary course. The link is down below. Don't wait. But in the Beginner's Guide to Growing a Medicinal Garden, we cover 20 of our top beginner-friendly herbs. Now, the great thing is each of these herbs are going to come with this growing guide that you see here. There's going to be harvest and storage. There's going to be materia medicas, which I'm going to share with you in just a minute. We've got recipes for each of these, seed starting tips and tricks and links and resources and soil recipes and bonus content. You name it, we have thought about it and covered it in hopes to encourage you and equip you with everything you need to know to get started. Now, when I started my journey in herbalism, there was one little thing that was really holding me back, and that was the mindset of thinking that I needed to know it all before I got started. I needed to understand all of the herbs and their actions and know all their recipes and know how to grow them, and I felt like I had to learn all of this stuff, which, much to your surprise, left me feeling really overwhelmed and less than motivated to actually get started. So what I've learned is start with the basics, right? Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, grow a few things, a few easy to grow things, and learn along the way. And so in this course, the Home Apothecary, Kaylee and I make herbalism accessible to you no matter where you are. We walk through this journey with you in hopes to really take away the overwhelm and encourage you, hey, you know what? Herbalism is for you. Even if you're a beginner, even if you've never grown an herb, even if you just have this idea of, man, I would really like a more holistic overall approach. it is for you. We made it accessible for you. So take advantage of this limited 48-hour special of getting the beginner's guide to growing a medicinal garden and our home apothecary course for a ridiculous discount. So links down below. Now the second herb we're going to talk about is echinacea, commonly known as coneflower. Now I grew echinacea coneflower for many years just for its ornamental beauty. I did not grow it for its medicinal properties. I never used it for that. But you can see here, there's some long stems here. It's beautiful dried. You can actually use all the aerial parts of this plant. But after you have had echinacea established for several years, you can dig up the roots and use the roots to make different things. But echinacea is a powerhouse, especially to combat against cold, flu, the crud, the junk, you name it. It's one of those that you're going to want to move in hot and heavy, and you're going to want to use it to address, a sickness, and it works so well. But aside from that, it's great because it is also a beautiful cut flower. It spreads and comes back every year, so it makes great hedging, and I love that. I love those herbs or those flowers that serve multiple purposes. So with this echinacea here, it's a great cut flower. It's great just for ornamentals if you just love to grow something lovely. It has fantastic medicinal properties, and then it also makes a really pretty dried flower. So I've also used these to make different wreaths. So it's super versatile. So the three herbs I chose to share with you guys today that are a beginner friendly way to get, dip your toes into the medicinal garden and medicinal herbs is that you can grow all of these whether you have a backyard, whether you have a balcony, whether you have an acre. All of these can be grown in super small condensed spaces. They can also all be grown in containers. So you don't have to feel limited with this idea of I don't have space. If you can go get a pot and some soil from the store, you've got all the space you need to be able to grow these herbs. So the third herb I want to talk to you guys about for growing your medicinal garden for beginners has to be thyme. So here I have dried thyme. And thyme is one of those that I think really does not get the appreciation that it really needs. So thyme is commonly known as one of those culinary herbs, which I love using culinary herbs that have medicinal properties. Think about turmeric, think about ginger, rosemary, thyme, sage. These are great ones if you are dipping your toes into herbalism and you're like, man, maybe I'm a little intimidated to make that tincture, make that salve, but the idea of cooking and baking, I love using all of my woody herbs to decorate focaccias. Oh, I think it's so great, and there's so many great medicinal properties. It's a fantastic way to start introducing those medicinal properties into your diet without having to try to find something else to do with it. Throw it in a soup, in a stew, in chili, in bread, and it's the perfect way to get all of those medicinal properties. Now, one of the other things I love about thyme is that it is a perennial. And what that means is that you plant it one time, you'll mulch it really heavy with wood chips or straw or leaves in the wintertime, and it will come back year after year. So when I think of a medicinal garden, I want to grow things that are perennials and not annuals. Right? So an annual will be one of those things that you have to annually plant year after year. Now, some herbs are annuals, like Tulsi, which is a holy basil, but I actually let my Tulsi go to seed, and it's a really great self-seeder. So I will put it in its own little area to where it can self-seed. It'll stay dormant throughout the winter, but when springtime comes around, you'll just start seeing Tulsi pop up everywhere. It acts as a great hedge and barrier. It prevents weeds, and then I've created this perennial space from something that was an annual, but it's a self-seeding annual. So be mindful of that when you're starting. For me, when I'm giving advice to beginners, I think back to what advice would I have liked to know as a beginner. And I would have liked to know that there were easier ways to do things, that I created more work than I had to. Everything in my garden was an annual. I didn't put in good systems to help me with weeding, and I became really overwhelmed. And by the end of the summer, my garden was a hot mess. And maybe you are sitting on the other end of this and you're saying, whoa, hello, I resonate with that. That's me. Set yourself up for success. Find those places that can self-seed, seed, grow those perennials, create those hedges that really just work for you. So my cottage garden, which is full of just all the medicinal plants you can think of, I love because they're all perennials. They come back year after year. They're self-seeding. They're beautiful. They attract pollinators. I can harvest some of them and cook in the kitchen. I can harvest some of them to make salves. We make beautiful teas and cocktails and mocktails. We add a ton of different herbs into our sourdough and our baking, and there's so much versatility. So I really encourage you as a beginner, don't feel like you need to grow every single herb known to man. Find those simple herbs that you can take and you can use in versatile ways. So let's take thyme, for instance. I just shared with you guys, you can cook with this, with stews, with chilies, with soups. You can add it into your sourdough breads and your focaccias and bake with them. You can make thyme infused oil, which is actually the recipe that we have in our ebook that's available. And I really just hope that you guys can start thinking about herbs differently. Don't feel like you need to grow them all, but if you do want to figure out what are those easy to grow herbs, we are covering 20 of the most beginner friendly herbs to grow for medicinal garden in our ebook. And we really hope by sharing with you guys their growing guides, their harvest and storage guides, their materia medicas, and then recipes on how to use them, it will eliminate the overwhelm for you. And then when you pair it with our home apothecary course, we're taking all the resources of knowing how to grow the herb, and then we are showing you what to do with herbs. How do we make decoctions? How do we make infusions, tinctures, tea blends? How do these all affect our systems of the body? How do we have that holistic overall approach? So we really believe that this is going to be a resource that it's going to be so valuable to you. We've spent so much time curating this because it's everything we wish we had when we got started. And the great thing is when you say yes to this, you are joining the hundreds of others who have already made the decision to step into a more holistic approach to wellness. So those are my top 3 herbs. But aside from finding those easy beginner-friendly herbs that are versatile, you can grow in pots and containers, that self-seed or perhaps they're perennials, there's another thing that is really important to think about when it comes to starting your medicinal garden for a beginner. And that is choosing quality soil and the right containers to set yourself up for success. So here lately, I've just been thinking a lot about my journey and how I got started. And I think back to the first home Nathan and I owned, which was this little log cabin on an acre of land, and I had just the most hodgepodge collection of all time. I saved egg cartons and red Solo cups from birthday parties and yogurt containers, and we made do. And to think about all the things that I grew, while it might have not been the most efficient, it might have been overuse of soil, I was still able to grow food, to grow flowers, to start herbs for my family. So I want you to hear that first and foremost. Whatever resources you have available to you, use them. And that doesn't matter if it is what I am telling you I recommend, if it's what anyone else is telling you they recommend. If it is the only means you have to say yes to this today, to get started, do not let it be a factor of you saying no. Say yes. There is so much value in saying yes and taking back your health, taking back your wellness, being sustainable, feeling empowered, growing your own food, your own flowers, your own medicine. You guys, that's empowering. There's a lot of freedom in that. So I am going to share with you guys some of the things that have streamlined this process for me, but I don't want this to become a barrier to prevent you from saying yes. If you look at what I'm offering and you say, wow, I'm just not there yet, that's okay. Where are you? Where are you today? What can you say yes to today? And do that. Let me support you in that. Let me rally you in. Comment how I can encourage you. Ask questions. Let me give you all the free resources I have if that is where you are at, because that is what we want to do here at Whispering Willow Farm. We want to educate, we want to inspire, we want to encourage. And so that is first and foremost our priorities. But we do work on a lot of offerings and a lot of paid for content that we know is going to take you from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 and so on and so forth, which is why we work so hard on all of our digital offerings, our online courses, because these are things that we know are going to set you up for success, but I also know that I wasn't in that place in the beginning either. And if you're watching this and you aren't either, go back through my YouTube videos. I have so many free resources to get you started. I have so many videos sharing my journey, tips and tricks. I just want you guys to be encouraged today while you're watching this. What is the one thing you can say yes to, and say yes to that, okay? So before I move on any further, just hear my heart on that. But there is something I want to share with you guys that I do think if you are at that stage where you're saying, hey, I want to grow my own garden, and right now I want that to be a medicinal garden, maybe you want that to be a vegetable garden, a flower garden, I recommend all of them. They work in harmony so well together. There are some things you can do to set yourself up for success and streamline that. We just talked about. Find those easy to grow varieties, especially when it comes to medicinal herbs. Some medicinal herbs require cold stratification, which means they need a period of being cold to break dormancy to sprout. Some need scarification, where you actually need to like scratch them with sandpaper, and maybe they need to be soaked for 24 hours. If you've never grown herbs before, that's really overwhelming. You're probably not going to set yourself up for success. So find those easy to grow things like thyme, chamomile, echinacea, sage, rosemary, calendula. These are super, super easy to grow things. Set yourself up for success. And if you are wanting to start from seeds, invest in quality soil. Soil is going to be the life and longevity of your farm. Number one, invest in quality soil. Make sure it's got all of those key nutrients. Think NP and K, think trace minerals, think worm castings, kelp, all those things that are just going to add nutrients into your soil. That is important. So if you read the back of your soil package and there is none of that listed, probably not going to be the best soil option for you. And then choose the right pots, trays, containers that you can use year after year, that you've got your whole setup ready to rock and roll. So I want to share with you guys one of my favorite collections that I really think if you are ready to start all your own seeds for your garden, you're going to absolutely love it. So I have had the privilege of working with Bootstrap Farmer for several years, and through the years we have come out with limited edition Whispering Willow Farm pots and trays, and it's just been so fun. They've been a beautiful company to be in collaboration with. Well, last year we decided to come out with Whispering Willow's signature collection, and they did something really cool that they thought would appeal specifically to my audience. And they created the homesteading bundle specific with the Whispering Willow Farm collection. So in this homesteading bundle, which I think would be perfect for you, that person aspiring to get started in their gardens, or maybe they've dabbled into it, but they really just want all of the tools that they need to set themselves up for success. So when you get the homesteading bundle, it comes with my signature collection of colors, which I happen to love. And we have these 2-inch pots, which is great. I like to use the 2-inch pots for things that you know are going to stay in here a bit longer, okay? So think about those long growing herbs, the things that are going to need more nutrients over time, especially if you're not up potting them. And then we have our 6 cell. Now the great thing about these 6 cells is that there's these little slits here in the side, and these are called air pruning trays. So a lot of times if you have a seedling in a pot for a long time and the roots begin to wrap around the plant itself, they become root bound, and it's going to end up stunning that plant, and it's just going to cause some deficiencies. So the great thing about these air pruning trays is where the slits are, the roots will actually start to grow out. So they don't become root bound. You had much healthier starts. And so this is going to be great for all sorts of stuff, because you can actually leave them in these 6 cell containers until you get ready to start them out. So absolutely love those. I grow a lot of things in those 6 cells because they are, you know, compacted spacing. They're the air pruning, which I really like. Then we have these 10-20 shallow microgreen trays. We have these inserts, which is absolutely a must. So for these inserts, your 2-inch pots will fit in them perfectly, okay? So when they fit in them, then these inserts immediately fit into your deep 10-20 trays. So you have your deep 10-20 trays, you put your insert in it, you pack it with your 2-inch pots, so great. And then the best thing is you add your humidity dome that's got these vents on the top here, And here you have your own little mini greenhouse. You have everything you need to start all of the medicinal herbs you could ever imagine. Starting, even for the beginner, there are so many pots and trays in this that you can start a really decent vegetable garden, flower garden, medicinal herb garden. And the great thing about this is once you invest in this one time, you clean and sanitize these trays year after year, season after season, you're gonna have them forever. I have still got the very first Bootstrap Farmer trays I have ever used from many years ago, still out in my greenhouse right now. So if you wanna grab this homesteading bundle with my signature collection of pots, which happen to be my favorite release yet, there will also be a link for this down below in the description. Something else I really recommend, if you are a beginner wanting to grow a medicinal garden, figure out what plants work and grow in companion with other plants really well, specifically with herbs. So there are some herbs that are gonna grow tall, right? And they are straight and self-supporting. And then you have some herbs that are gonna be bushy and compact. Well, why not interplant some of those bushy compacted herbs with some of those like echinacea that are maybe more tall growing? And so be mindful of that. But ultimately, if you are a beginner wanting to grow a medicinal garden, I really encourage you, grab a pen and notepad and ask yourself, what is it that I am wanting to seek holistic wellness in? What is it that I am looking to remedy for my family? What health journey am I trying to go on? What would I like to replace from the grocery store? Maybe what are some holistic remedies that you are seeking out now? Figure out what those are, and you'll be much more motivated to try and grow these things, learn different hands-on recipes when you know it's something you're already using and buying. And you're then able to grow that and replace that for yourself. Again, I use the word empowering a lot because I feel super empowered growing my own family's food and flowers and medicine, and I know that you will too. So if you want to continue your journey in this, if you want to get a kickstart and learn everything you can from seed to remedy, I highly encourage you guys to snag our bundle of the Beginner's Guide to Growing a Medicinal Garden with our Home Apothecary course and learn everything you possibly can. So it's going to be $85 off for the next 48 hours only. The link to snag that deal is going to be down in the description below. I hope that you guys found some helpful tips. I hope you will consider growing chamomile, thyme, echinacea, so many other beautiful medicinal herbs that are super easy and beginner friendly. But more importantly, I hope that you say yes to your journey for a healthier you in 2024. So thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you soon.